What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We are watching the first teaser trailer for Lanterns. Very excited. I'm a little bit sad that we're gonna have to wait till the tail end of summer. This was originally supposed to be the first DC project of 2026. It's now the second. I'll take it. If they need more time, whatever it is, I'm happy with it. It's been a whirlwind trying to stay off the internet, and I'm very happy that I still don't know anything about this teaser trailer. But it's been like pins and needles, and I'm like, cool. Just don't go anywhere near any social media channel, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I saw one thing that I do want to mention that I think, I don't know if this is going to be a spoiler, but I want to mention that the internet is, no, it's okay, Adam, no, put it back on, put it back on. The thing I saw was from a buddy of ours who posted like, this show has been selling itself as a certain tone, and he was seeing an adverse response to that tone. And he was kind of going like, this is what they said it was, like, this is the thing. I am excited to see how that comes across in this teaser, and I am not looking forward to the discourse, because it's always disappointing when whenever there's a superhero comic book project that feels like it's trying to do something different. I'll put it that way. So, you know,
well, they pitched it as a True Detective, like murder cop drama. There might be more of Hal Jordan and John Stewart than the Green Lanterns, and I'm like, okay. You kind of pitched it that way, so I'm not necessarily like too mad about it. If you would have pitched it as like a full-on science fiction Green Lantern Corps series, and then they spend 98% of it on Earth in like a small town, not wearing their suits, and I'd be like, well, where's the like epic space science fiction aspect of the show?
Yes, I think that would be cause for, I can imagine a response of like, well, then they just should have made this a movie. They should have made this a 2-hour movie with a big budget to do all the CG effects. But this does feel like, well, this is a way for them to make this a show with a TV show budget, but still spend time with these characters. And if it has the same care that Peacemaker has, which I think is a really great TV show, surprisingly great TV show, I'm happiest camper. I don't know, you know, then I'm always like, there's time to do crazy space cosmic stuff later. We'll get to the Sinestro Corps later. We'll get to, you know, the War of Light, the War of, you know, all that stuff later. Like Blackest Night. That's not going to be this TV show, dude. This is season 1. This is step 1. We'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll obviously be watching the show too, so you guys can check out those uncut reactions on Patreon. In the meantime, like Hector was saying, we have so many other DC shows on there. We'll watch that. So good.
I feel like the DC universe is cooking right now, and I hope that the whatever discourse, because in my head, I pictured Lanterns as like this giant mega, and we talked about this before, this giant mega Lord of the Rings style, like lore heavy, crazy mythical, all about powers and creatures and crazy lantern bearers and all these things. And clearly, I mean, judging, I'm on the first frame. It looks like it's taking place in a desert. I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna start very earth-based. So let's see what they gotta do, because Lanterns and the Lantern Corps and all the Lanterns are that, like, they are big and mythical and cosmic and all of these things. So eventually, like you said, Hector, we will get to that point, and I want to get there. And if it means going through this, let's go. Let's go check this out. I haven't seen it either. Count us down when you're ready, Adam.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
With all due respect, we've been training for what, 2 months? And I haven't even worn the ring yet.
That's fun.
Cool.
Don't get hung up on the jewelry.
Ring looks good.
You're just a fucking substitute teacher. Not ready to get up front class till the ring says you are.
Dang. Okay.
All right.
What an asshole thing to do. Oh my God, Hal.
Oh shit.
All right.
At least let him put on the ring first. Jeez.
You want me to train you? I'm training you.
What? I'm training you.
All right, Hal.
Damn.
Something is off here. I can feel it.
This is my town. You're a big shot. Noted. But stay the fuck out of my way.
Think she hates your guts.
It's the way she hates them.
This is a stupid plan.
That's stupid.
That I don't doubt. The Green Lantern's
Oh.
is to protect.
Tactical suit. Okay. Okay.
and We both know I do a better job of this than you.
Hey. Damn.
That's right, John.
Okay.
That's right, John.
Okay.
This is my job. As
Yes.
long as I'm alive, that ain't changing.
Dude, this looks really good.
So take a deep breath, Junior.
You're old. You're tired.
Whoa.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Seeing some
Your time
powers.
is up.
Your time
Oh,
is
man.
up. Jeez. Okay.
whoa! Did you see that thing? It was yellow.
Yeah.
You exactly.
Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Yes.
I'm gonna beat your ass.
Cool.
Dude, that was sick,
Woof.
dude.
That looks
You ever talk
great.
with the other lanterns?
I'm the only human. They're aliens. One of them's a fucking squirrel.
Hey.
Hey, don't be talking about Chip. Don't be talking
Hell
about
yeah,
Chip.
dude.
Don't be talking about
Hell yeah.
Chip. Chip's a hero.
Oh man.
He's a hero.
Right
Now,
off the
good Lord, that guy.
right off the bat, I think the thing that I really find sort of intriguing is the setting. Like they talked about it being like this
Absolutely.
Midwestern setting, but I didn't realize it was going to feel like the heart of America, like uber Midwestern. Like it
Yeah.
feels super Midwestern. So that's
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
really interesting setting to set the show in. And even when you look at like the way some of the shots are designed and you see these big crowd shots, it's got this like a little bit of this like alien feeling to it. Like I'm basically looking at the frames and I'm going, okay, are some of these people aliens that have integrated into society?
Ah,
It just, for
interesting.
whatever reason,
Okay.
it just like stirs that kind of a vibe and feeling as
You're
I'm
getting
watching it.
like an Area 51 Men in Black
Yes.
vibe. Then that's what
Yes.
you're
That's what
talking
I'm-
about,
And
Adam.
I-
Yeah.
I'm feeling when they're stepping into this auditorium, they got the big
Mhm.
American flag hanging ominously in the middle of this auditorium. It feels like that sort of, is this just MAGA country, or is this show going to do a sort of science fiction metaphor to kind of talk about that and the way that
Mhm.
a lot of communities can glom on to that real hateful stuff? Because
Mhm.
could this be like aliens have set up a base and they're taking over. They're
Exactly.
disguising themselves as humans.
Yeah.
I was getting the vibe when they stepped into the auditorium that there's something to do with Black Hand, who is a human
interesting.
threat at first, but he becomes this cosmically powered character who kind of has power over life and death. And it ends up affecting the whole universe. And then the whole universe gets involved. But it comes from a guy who is a very fucked up, traumatized human man on Earth. So Black Hand, in a lot of ways, with a lot of that very popular Green Lantern comics run of the 2000s, like he ends up becoming a sort of antithesis to the Green Lantern with the way that character is used. The other thing about the setting that, like, first of all, Kyle Chandler is perfect as Hal Jordan.
I
He
love
is
Oh, yeah.
so
we love
yeah.
Kyle Chandler.
dude. It's clear eyes, full hearts. Like this
Yeah.
guy, so charming and
Yeah.
so handsome. When
Yeah.
John Stewart's like, she hates you, and he's like, it's the way she hates me. I'm like, this
Yep.
is that Indiana Jones flavor that Hal should be. I want to mention something, Augustine, to your point that you were discussing earlier with what you like kind of envisioned a Green Lantern epic to be. I think it's very interesting that the show is coming out at this time in DC Studios, and the first thing that James Gunn and company like greenlit for Lantern, because in Green Lantern comics, when the comics weren't doing great, part of their revamp, part of their refocus, re-energizing was like, let's pair him with Green Arrow when it was just Hal Jordan for a second. And part of that re-energizing was also bringing in John Stewart. Part of that re-energizing was like Hal Jordan and Green Arrow are going to be going around the country, because Green Arrow represented, even though he's a billionaire, he's kind of more of an everyman than Lantern because they have powers. And Green
Sure.
Arrow is also in DC Comics, he's known as the most liberal or left-wing character. He really cares about social equality and social justice. So with these stories written by the late, great Denny O'Neil, he had Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, be a character who comes down from space, and then you had a black man call him out very famously and say, you help the pink skins and the green skins and the blue skins and the orange skins, but what about the black skins? Like, this was a guy who, even though he became a part of a larger community, the intergalactic community, he kind of wasn't using his powers in a way that could have better helped the United States, other human beings on Earth, whatever.
Yeah.
So he became a character to represent that of like, oh, Hal needs to get back down and become grounded and look around. and what can he actually do with his ring to help people. And I think he became a character who represented maybe white Americans having to understand, like, okay, what is our status? What's going on in the US? What's it like for Black Americans? What's it like for non-white Americans? Like, what's happening? And
how do I become an ally?
even though, exactly. And so to have that vibe, it, like, in these creatives' minds, I'm sure James Gunn knows about this, to be like, okay, if the Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds movie didn't work, and people are so averse to Green Lanterns right now. People are like, Warner Brothers is like, nope, don't put him in a Justice League movie directed by Zack Snyder. Don't, like, everyone's just so freaked out about it. I'm sure James Gunn is thinking, well, one way to revamp this concept is do what they did in the 70s with the comics, is bring it back down to earth. And not only that, not just have it be Hal and Oliver Queen, but like, what if it's Hal and John Stewart, who is literally one of the most, if not the most prominent Black superhero character in DC Comics. Like, he's there with Static and Cyborg, and, he is an iconic character. To have this vibe, too, of John being younger, because he does represent the next generation, is fascinating. That in this trailer, he's like, you're old, you're an old man. Your time is up. Because if this story is firing on all cylinders, what's going to happen by the end of this is that John Stewart's going to go, actually, Hal Jordan's a badass motherfucker. He has my back. This dude is incredible, and he's a hero and a great ally and a great role model. And by the end of the show, Hal Jordan is going to go, actually, it's John's time. This guy is incredible. He's absolutely ready for the ring. I've done what I could. I've been a superhero, and I'll maybe keep being a superhero, but, like, he needs to be on the Justice League with Superman. He needs to, and both of those characters will, I mean, look, man, I'm sure it's on purpose too, that it's like both of these guys are different ages, different ethnicities, right? Different races. And these two characters are still, in comic books, some of the best friends. They have a long history. They care about each other. But to use this story and go, what if we tell a story about an older white guy who maybe thinks he knows everything and doesn't know everything, and a younger Black guy who has to navigate in a world where, and then they're putting them in this, like, MAGA country. Like, it's no wonder that they saw Hacksaw Ridge and went, we got to get Aaron Pierre. Like, it has those vibes, of having to deal with.
You guys seen Rebel Ridge?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I meant. Rebel Ridge, not Hacksaw Ridge. Rebel Ridge. It's Rebel Ridge with Aaron Pierre. That they saw Rebel Ridge and went, this is absolutely the guy to get. So I'm wondering how much of that they're going to lean into, the alien sci-fi plot is really a metaphor for how divided the United States is, how hateful some groups are, what a lot of white Americans have been, having to deal with or dealing in with themselves, with politics in the past couple of years. Like, all of this is something they could touch on. And before anybody's reading, or before anybody's watching this and going, no, Hector, you're always trying to, I point to Peacemaker season 2, dude. I point to Peacemaker season 2. Like,
Earth X.
That show did not pull any punches and went into it. It wasn't called Earth X, but it's basically Earth X, the Nazi planet. Like, and these are things that James Gunn is fully aware of what's been happening in the US and in politics. He's been affected by it. He has been targeted by it. Like, yeah, so it doesn't surprise me that they're bringing on Damon Lindelof and all of the people that are working on this to do this, because this feels like that 70s Green Lantern, Green Arrow run. This feels like Rebel Ridge. This feels like it could really say something while also ground level reestablishing Green Lantern for audiences and going, actually, Green Lanterns are super fucking cool, and here's why. Because they are, dude. Yeah. So silly, but even seeing Kyle Chandler just, like, take off and fly, I was like, that shit is dope. That's awesome.
That's Green Lantern. There he is. There he is.
To go back to your point about
go ahead.
about John pumping up Hal, he's gonna hit him with the cool runnings. I see pride. I see power. I see a bad mother. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
By the end of this, by the end of this, they really are going to care about each other. Because I do love the friction in the beginning of this dynamic, but by the end of it, it's going to be this sort of like, dude, we're brothers and we have each other's backs, and it's just going to be like, dude, I cannot wait, man, because I love John Stewart,
it's gonna be good.
It's so past time for him to be the star of a movie or a TV show, and it's. And it's like, there's also some controversy happening right now with DC Comics, where DC Comics fans have pointed out that there has not been a regular DC comic book series ongoing that stars a Black character in like 1,000 days. That's something like, it's like years that there's been one that's just an ongoing, there's stuff like absolute Green Lantern that stars Black Green Lantern characters, which is awesome. But those are like alternate universe, little mini series, stuff like that here and there. But people are saying, how is there not a Mr. Terrific comic book series on the shelves right now, based off of last year's Eddie Gaffetti as Mr. Terrific? Yeah. How is there not a John Stewart Green Lantern book right now? So way past time for a lot of these characters to get their due. And I'm so excited to see John Stewart make it out of that falling car, because that's going to be an amazing moment. I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
I think that's going to be like 5 minutes episode 1 type of stuff right there. Yeah. First 5 of episode 1 is going to be something like that.
That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this teaser also. It really feels like this footage comes from the first couple of episodes, which would make sense, right? Yeah. Because they don't want to show too much. They don't want to get too ahead of themselves. And, and I'm only basing that on the fact that the characters are wearing the same thing throughout the entire trailer. Yeah. It's also very possible that because they're thrown into the middle of nowhere, that's all they have. Yeah. They just have the clothes on their back and that's it. So, I'm just take that with a grain of salt. But Rebel Ridge, maybe that's something we could or we should watch before we watch the show. Just if you're unfamiliar with Aaron Pierre, to get a taste of like how incredible of an actor he is, because I watched that movie last year and he really blew me away. He is fantastic. So the moment they announced this, and even when he was rumored, I was like, it's got to be Aaron Pierre. They're gonna watch Rebel Ridge. They're gonna watch it and go, he's the guy. He's John Stewart. Sure enough, as soon as they announced it, I was like, yeah, of course, he's great. And then they announced Kyle Chandler, and I'm like, all right, I understand exactly what they're trying to do here dynamic-wise between the characters. The other thing too, and they may be laying it on too thick purposely because they wanted maybe give people the impression that Hal Jordan will die, or they're leaning into like, well, it's past your time. Well, you're old. Well, you're this. Well, you're that. Because maybe Hal Jordan will only be around for whatever the duration of this show is. Maybe it's 6 episodes or whatever. I'm fine with him staying around. And if Hal Jordan becomes now the new main Green Lantern of Earth, and Hal Jordan is still in some ways being a mentor type that is accessible in the DC universe, great. Or if they want to keep him a Green Lantern and move him to another sector, also fine. Yeah. I don't need Kyle Chandler to die in order to motivate John's story to kind of take center stage. But whatever happens, happens. I'm just very excited to see Green Lantern back in the mix, Green Lanterns, and just the mention of the Green Lantern Corps. I mean, it makes you all warm and fuzzy inside, because as much as I think we all have complaints about that 2011 Ryan Reynolds movie. At the very least, we got to see the Green Lantern Corps. They didn't shy away from it. They didn't hide it. They didn't go, well, it's too comic booky and too cheesy. Let's get away from that.
Yeah.
And to that movie's credit too, some of that casting is really good. Michael Clark Duncan is the voice of Kilowog, the late great Michael Clark Duncan. I'm like, that was perfect casting.
Oh yeah. Mark Strong as
Jeffrey
Sinestro.
Rush played Omar Ray. Mark Strong as Sinestro. So like, I'm not gonna poo-poo that whole movie just because I thought that it whiffed a lot of it. But
totally.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited with everything you guys are saying. Like, it's odd to hear Green Lantern say "fucking," to say like you're a fucking substitute teacher. One of them is a fucking squirrel. I'm like, oh, this is great. I expect this with Peacemaker, but this is crazy. We're getting a rated R Green Lantern. This guy was on the Super Friends with Aquaman. Like, that's crazy.
He's got green chonies. What are we doing?
I love it, man. It's great. Yeah. It's really great. I think you're right, Adam. I think John Stewart should be the main Lantern going forward. But dude, Sector 2814, that's a big sector. So Hal can very easily shoot off into space and focus on a case on another planet and be gone for a couple of movies, a couple of TV shows, a couple of years. Like, no big deal. And even if these two guys are active, we know Guy Gardner's active. So it's like, what is the exact ruling in the hierarchy? And we know he's going to be in this. So like, and he's a completely different vibe of a character. Because right now this is very serious and cool. Guy comes in and it's like, fucking bowl cut is here. Like, what is this world? What are they going to do with that? But I think that it's too tempting to want to have Hal in play for longer than just the TV show. Now, I'm not going to put it past the storytellers. If they really crafted this and they go, the story demanded that we lose Hal. Fine. I trust the storytellers, dude. I trust Damon Lindelof. I trust James Gunn. But it's pretty damn tempting to just be like, but what if we kept Hal Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, and in the future we cast somebody as a Barry Allen and an Oliver Queen if we haven't already, and a new Wonder Woman, a new Batman, and then at some point these characters will meet in some capacity. Like, it's too tempting to not do that. These are this is a classic Super Friends lineup. I'm not saying I need to see that exact group of characters be the Justice League and go fight the Legion of Doom, but I read DC Comics, and it's so fun to be reading a Flash comic book, and then Hal flies in and has a conversation with the Flash and then dips out. Like, that's the point. And so Kyle is just such good casting that you want to keep him on the bench for as long as possible. You want to keep him in play to just be like, oh, Kyle, we need you for this. It'd be great to have you in this as a cameo. Or, geez, man, John Stewart gets his own movie called Green Lantern, John Stewart, or just Green Lantern. And then Hal is in it a little bit. Like, it's, yeah. Then again, it could be one of the best and most significant and impactful deaths if he dies in this. I don't know, but I think you want to keep Coach around for a while. He's too good, man.
I didn't see too many. I didn't actually look at the conversations about this, but I did see some like headlines that were talking about the Green Lantern suit, but I didn't know what it looked like. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to wait and see. I sometimes worry a little bit that the superhero suits all start to maybe kind of look too much the same, because you look at like Green Lantern suit, for like Guy Gardner's suit, you look at Superman's suit, you even look at the suits in like some of the Marvel films with like Cap, and they just start to have this like very similar-ish look. And I look at this suit and I go, how do I feel about this suit? Do I love it? Do I need to see it in full context, like in motion, to really understand the dynamics of the suit? How am I feeling about it? I feel like I'm lukewarm on it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm kind of like, I guess we'll see, but I don't know if I don't know if I'm like pulled to this style of uniform. And I think that's the thing. It feels like a uniform. And I know that translating the comic book stuff sometimes can be really hard, because it's just drawn skin tight and it just looks like a spandex suit. And it's like, where can you take spandex suits today with all the technology we have? But then I look at like some of the superhero suits that we've had. I'm thinking of things like Spider-Man, any iteration of Spider-Man, but particularly Toby and Andrew, and like the classic Tom Holland version. I think of Man of Steel and like that Superman suit. Those are kind of spandexy, but they have these great texture and patterns, but they're still very form-fitting. I don't know how I'm feeling about these, like, they almost feel like motorcycle racer or motorcycle jackets, more or less.
Sure.
And I don't know.
Like full
I'm like,
motorcycle
is this really the
leathers?
vibe that I want? Like, how's Batman gonna look? Because Robert Pattinson's Batman already kind of assumes that more bulky, like, uniform look. So I'm like, okay, what's it gonna look like in the DC universe? Is it gonna look more like the Neil Adams, very like ninja, like sleek and thin, or is it gonna be like another uniform? So that's my only thing with some of the suits, not Green Lantern exclusively, but it just like really stood out to me when I saw it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's a lot of like moving parts as opposed to just being something that's a little sleeker and tighter. But again, I feel like a lot of these things also change when you see them in context.
I feel like with this suit in particular, though, Adam, because of the Ryan Reynolds suit backlash, I have a feeling that they are going to really pay attention to this suit. We're missing a lot of context. Whether is that an actual suit that they wear? Does he not know how to do a suit construct yet? Like, are we, because the suit in the comic book is more than a suit. It's like their space flight suit. It's how a human can get across space. And so it's an important part. So I wouldn't be averse to seeing a full CG suit, because we've come so far since the Green Lantern's full CG suit. We could barely even tell at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You can barely, like, Robert Downey Jr. does not wear a suit anymore. I feel like the technology's there to not have him look like the Ryan Reynolds, but also is the legacy of the Ryan Reynolds already too far gone to that so that Green Lantern in particular cannot go past that. That's going to be the interesting thing. And I'm sure James Gunn has thought about it. I'm sure it was part of the huge conversation about this show. So I'm sure. I feel like we're going to get that answered in the show. I feel like that's going to be an important thing to address.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All of the practicality of it, I think it is all going to be there. I also thought it was weird that like Guy Gardner, to me, he wasn't wearing a Green Lantern suit. He was wearing like the
It's like
Maxwell
a
Lord
version.
uniform.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I guess that in the DC universe of this franchise, like Green Lanterns can kind of be wearing whatever they want and they still have the ring and they're still a Green Lantern. Does that make sense? Like, I
Right.
guess they can just choose not to, which I guess also makes sense practically too. It's not like the ring is going to deny its human user the power
If they're
unless
not
it
wearing a
wears the
costume.
glowing skin. Yeah, it's like, no,
Bingo.
I can,
Yeah.
ring, do the thing you need to do. So I think there is a lot more to see with this. And I also feel like it's dumb, but like part of the look of Thor, for example, in the movies is not just his costume, but it's also like, dude, he's going to be surrounded by some lightning. You know, part of the
Right.
coolness of Captain Marvel, it's not just Carol wearing the thing that she wears in the movies. It's like she's glowing full of energy. She's so powerful. She's like Super Saiyan, this glowing thing.
Yeah.
So I know that maybe the design that we're not seeing also takes into account they will be like just like immersed in a green glowing energy, this vortex of green glow that we
Right.
can't, we're not seeing it in concept art because we're not looking at the concept art. We're looking at a jacket hung in a closet. So I'm
Right.
really hoping that like
Right.
when there's a sort of full display of power, that it even is more than what we saw Guy Gardner do, where he was making the constructs and doing the hands and the bird that he's flipping off and doing the big baseball bat or whatever. Like, yeah, what can we do to the look? And also, if Hal Jordan doesn't have the best suit, I'm sorry, he's not the last Green Lantern. It's going to be John Stewart.
Yeah.
I'm hoping these movies can get to Kyle Rayner. I'm hoping these movies can get to, so on and so forth. I'd love to see a Jessica Cruz. And so, like, I think the design is going to consistently evolve. But the other thing that's tough too, man, like, maybe it's a controversial opinion. Green is not a cool color. It's kind of a dorky color. Like, it's not.
It's the best color after you shut your mouth.
No. You
offended Augustine so hard at Frozen.
Freeze right now. Freeze. That's right. Freeze, Augustine. Freeze. Don't even move. Don't even
Dang.
even
I didn't even
move.
realize it.
You'll
I was so
unfreeze when
offended.
you're ready, buddy. Yeah. No, but you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
I think the Green Lantern suit has looked very cool, but I also think that like that's the challenge is that like it's green and it looks cool. I loved John Stewart's look in Justice League Unlimited when they sort of did the Benjamin Sisko upgrade where they're like, John is going to shave his head, have the goatee, clean look, and his green was also a little darker and a little more like almost turquoisey, versus the sort of bright green that so it's like I just think it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but if anybody can do it, I think John Stewart can pull it off and make the look great. If that's what Hal Jordan is rocking with is this jacket or whatever, this sort of bicycle jacket, like I'm sure what he can construct underneath could be cool, I'm sure, but the
other thing to take into consideration
yeah.
as I'm like looking at the lantern itself that John Stewart's holding, it has a very like more classic, or I shouldn't say classic, but it has like this a vintagey look to it. So maybe the jacket hanging in the closet is Hal Jordan's vintage Green Lantern suit. Like it's the suit that he got when he originally became Green Lantern.
It's an old suit.
Because we also don't know how long he's been Green Lantern. We assume it's modern, but like maybe he's been Green Lantern for 20 years. So he got this suit in like the late 90s, the early 2000s. So now it's considered a like vintage Green Lantern suit. And that's why the lantern also looks like it's a little more vintagey. Or maybe he's been Green Lantern since the 80s. Like we have no context. So that would also be really fun to when we see John Stewart become Green Lantern, he constructs like his suit is a construct. And it looks like the classic dark green, turquoisey green with black. Like I think that would be really cool. So I think also, I think if people are feeling a little bit disheartened by the suit, I'd say we don't know anything about the show. We don't know anything about like the context of like these characters' stories. We don't know how long Hal Jordan has been Green Lantern. We also like those suits may not even be real. They could be fake because they're being set up. And like there's a lot of different elements that could be happening. That on the surface you go, well, that's a shitty looking suit, but you don't know anything about it. So there's going to be a whole story to tell before we get there. So I mean, it's just, you got to keep all those things in mind that they're not going to show all their cards in a 2-minute teaser trailer for a show that doesn't come out till August. They're going to give you a little taste. They're going to show you some stuff. Some of it is probably from the first few episodes, and like we're not seeing too much of it. Because like we don't even get a villain. Like we get nothing. We just get characters are in the Midwest. They're trying to figure it out. And here's a little bit of who they are. So I mean, otherwise I think like I'm just super excited about it. I'm excited about this cast.
It looks great.
I like these two guys so much.
Good.
Yeah, so just happy to see things moving forward in DC and to finally see like this connectivity really taking shape. You know, it's nice to see a little bit in Creature Commandos, a little more in Peacemaker. Then it really takes off in Superman, and now it's just one thing after the next is going to be fully integrated, and I think it's going to be really, really fun. So
Agreed. Looks awesome, dude.
we just got to get through summer. Get through the summer.
Yeah.
Comic-Con will be
It's a
fun
long
because I
time,
think
boys.
Comic-Con is going to be a really big marketing push for them. So I think we're going to see some really dope shit. I can't wait.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep,
man.
yep.
It's awesome.
And let's manifest Mr. Jaime Pistolas on the show. Yeah, come on, James.
Oh, yeah.
Come on the
Oh,
show and
yeah.
talk about it.
Gosh.
Come on the show and
That'd be cool.
talk about it, my guy.
Absolutely.
That'd be fun.
It would be. But guys, of course, let us
Yeah.
know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about this first look at Lanterns? How are you feeling about the costume? All the things that we talked about. Like if you have opinions about a lot of that stuff, let us know. Or if there's ideas that we brought up that you didn't think of. Maybe there's other stuff also that like we're never going to guess, we're never going to consider, but it's fun to have those conversations to just think about like what could this show be? Let us know. Check out everything else we're watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.